What's up? How we doing tonight, guys? Welcome on in. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you have not already. We're going to get started in 5 minutes. Got the reveal tonight of both nights of WrestleMania 1 and 2's card. I don't know. Would love to hear what you guys think about it. What's up, guys? How we doing tonight? Going to get started in a few minutes. Usually I do a SmackDown review on Fridays, obviously, after the show. We'll talk some SmackDown throughout, but what I mainly want to get to tonight is discussing nights 1 and 2 of WrestleMania 41. We got the card revealed tonight during SmackDown. By the way, guys, if you're new here, be sure to hit the subscribe button here to Turnbuckle Topics. Smash that subscribe button. Go ahead and hit that like button as well on the live here. All of that helps the channel out. And I'm excited to be here with you guys, especially throughout the next week on the road to WrestleMania. So, Abyss, how we doing tonight? Abyss, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Okay, guys, we're going to get started at 12:15 Eastern Time, so about 4 minutes or so. And we'll get down to business, and we'll break down night 1, night 2. I think night 1 has 7 matches. Night 2, as it stands, has 6. Assuming that, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens would have been night 2 to add out, even out, rather, the 7 matches. But we'll discuss it. So, again, guys, hit that subscribe button as you make your way in here. Let me know what you thought about SmackDown tonight. What do you think? What are your guys' thoughts about this WrestleMania 41 card? These 13 matches we have. Think it's great? Think it's terrible? You think it's somewhere in between? Personally, me, I'm kind of somewhere in the in-between area. I do think the show is going to be great, but there's some things I'm very concerned about. Very concerned as to why the Street Profits aren't on WrestleMania, and they're on the Friday Night SmackDown before Mania. No IC, no U.S. title defenses, seemingly. And you got the IC champion in a tag team title match at Mania, a makeshift tag team, very weird. And that gauntlet match was very confusing tonight, too. You had 2 people that tagged for the very first time in Lyra and Bayley run through, basically, the majority of the women's tag division tonight. So what's that about? From the start, too. They won all 5 the pinfall attempts. So I don't know what to make of that. To me, it's almost like they better dethrone Liv and Raquel. Otherwise, what was the point? So we'll see how that plays out. What's up there, Wiccan? What do you think about Vega winning? I get her being pushed, but the crowd doesn't seem to care either way towards her. Your thoughts? Yeah, I'd have to agree with you, Wiccan. You know I've been very vocal. I'm a big Zelina Vega fan. But the way they presented her, like they've given her some momentum as far as backstage segments are concerned at times, because Zelina's a good talker. But as far as the matches are concerned, or the in-ring aspect, and they had her win because of Chelsea Green's countout tonight, and not even really getting to showcase any of Zelina's ability out there. I'm not a big fan of, and I've said it before, you felt, I'm not going to speak for you, but I know you shared similar sentiments. I give Triple H praise in many ways, man, but it looks horrible, the way they booked this whole women's IC U.S. title belt scenario these first 3-4 months.
And again, the tag division's an afterthought too. They had to have a gauntlet match tonight, which look, I thought the gauntlet match was pretty good tonight, right? Again, Lyra, Bailey getting the win, good for them. But you put together this makeshift tag team for their first night together, I believe, and they run through a lot of what's been solid tag teams. Kaden and Katana, Zoe and Shayna, Alba and Piper in the main event spot. Maxine and Natalia. All right, so be it. And who was the other team that they went up against? There was one other team. But either or, man, I don't know. Very concerning situation there. Again, guys, if you just made your way in here, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button when you make your way in here. And in just 2 minutes, we are going to run down start to finish night 1 and night 2. Usually this is a SmackDown review, but tonight I want to focus more on what we have or what we don't have for WrestleMania 41's card. Coming as early as next weekend, next Saturday and Sunday, the 19th and 20th. It's here already in Vegas, Allegiant Stadium. So that was the home of SummerSlam 2021, I believe. So we'll get to that in a minute. Again, guys, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Thank you for being here on this late night, this late Friday night edition. So let's get going here. I'm going to pull up what was announced tonight. Now, look, the majority of these matches, if not all of them, we knew about prior to tonight's SmackDown, right? Some of the matches we knew, like we knew Roman, Punk, and Seth were going to main event night 1, right? We knew Cena and Cody were going to main event night 2. But a lot of these matches we did not know would be on what night. So we come to find out that tonight, it was revealed through Joe Tessitore, Wade Barrett on commentary, what we're getting for both night 1 and night 2. So let's start off, obviously, with night 1, right? Let's start off with night 1. We find out that we are going to get Tiffany Stratton defending her WWE Women's Championship against Charlotte Flair. Now, do I think this match could be great? I think it has the potential. The lead up, the build, if you want to even call it that, use that word, lack of a better term, just has not been it. It has not been good. The build for Tiffany Charlotte. But that being said, I do think this could be a great match. I'm personally hoping that Tiffany retains. Although she has not transitioned well at all as a babyface, used to being a heel these last couple of years, dating back to her NXT days. I am very interested on how this is going to play out, especially are they going to throw the title on Charlotte? This will be her first championship since late 22, early 23, somewhere in that territory. So it's been a couple of years. Are they going to give Charlotte Flair her 15-time championship at Mania? I could see it, Personally, I'd rather see Tiffany retain and get a big win over Charlotte Flair, but I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure about that. So I have a week to do my predictions, all right? I have a week to do my predictions, but that is one of the matches that they announced for night 1 tonight. Now, another match in night 1 that we have to look forward to, the World Heavyweight Champion Gunther defending his title against Jey Uso. Now, I can confidently say I felt this way many weeks ago, and especially after last week's promo with Jey Uso and Gunther on Monday Night Raw. I think Jey Uso is going to win. I do. I don't think he's going to have a crazy long reign. I do think it will be longer than his three-week reign as Intercontinental Champion. But that being said, I think he'll have a couple months as World Heavyweight Champion, maybe up until SummerSlam this year, early August. So that is night 1 as well. We have Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Now, this is the women's, a women's feud that I've been probably most interested in going into Mania. Now, look, Bianca Io, that's cool. We've seen that match take place, and it was great at Backlash 2023. You add in Rhea Ripley. Now, I was a big proponent on seeing Rhea versus Bianca. When Bianca won the Chamber, I said, oh, here we go. Then that Monday Night Raw following the Chamber, we had Io versus Rhea. I didn't think Io had a snowball's chance to beat Rhea just based on booking alone. I said, we're this close to Mania. There's no way they'd thrown Rhea when we could have Bianca Rhea, which a lot of people have been clamoring about for years, wanting to see Bianca Rhea at Mania, including myself. So I said, why would they not give us this opportunity? Lo and behold, Io gets the title win. Was very happy for her on that episode of Monday Night Raw on the 3rd of March. Held the title ever since, although it's been very tumultuous since then. Rhea's been trying to interject herself. Io's been an afterthought, and she's been the World Heavyweight Champion. So I was finally okay with it just being Io and Bianca, then here came Rhea. So look, these are 3 of the most talented women in all of professional wrestling, not just on Raw, not just WWE. I love all of them, but I would have rather seen a one-on-one, whether that was Bianca Rhea or Io Bianca. Triple threat will be great. Still not crazy how they inserted Rhea into this thing, but that is that. That match will be very good. That match will be very good. But again, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. That is on night 2, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. But that being said, and as much as I'm looking forward to that, and Tiffany, Charlotte, Jade, and Naomi, that has probably been the most exciting women's build. And out of the 4 women's matches on this card, that is the only non-title match. So, ironically enough, I'm here for this heel Naomi run. And we'll see what happens there. Now, this caused a lot of controversy earlier Friday when it was announced by Adam Pearce, the Raw general manager, that the War Raiders, Eric and Ivar, will be going up against the New Day for the World Tag Team Championships at Mania. So not only are they getting a match at WrestleMania, but we're not getting the Street Profits at Mania. How is that possible? How are the WWE Tag Team Champions not having a match at Mania? They won these titles about a month ago, give or take. Now they go up against Motor City Machine Guns next Friday on SmackDown in Vegas, obviously. And I've made this very clear the last couple of years, especially since they've given us 2 nights of WrestleMania since 36. I won't count 36 because that was the COVID era, right? But pretty much to follow, we pretty much got 2 nights for the most part, right? How do you... there's no real exciting build here with the War Raiders and New Day. I'm one of the biggest New Day fans over the last decade, but their heel run, they've been booked horribly since December when they turned heel, right? And so I don't really comprehend on how you put the War Raiders defending the titles against the New Day, but you have Street Profits against Motor City Machine Guns. Now, I don't care if they were going up against Motor City, DIY, Los Garza, Pretty Deadly. A lot of us on this YouTube here, this YouTube live of mine, or TikTok live, we've been saying for even a couple months now, even dating back to earlier this year, January or so, saying, there's no way they don't do a fatal 4-way or a fatal 5-way type of deal at WrestleMania. They got to do it. It's going to be exciting. Many were saying they want to see a ladder match. Now, granted, I wasn't a big proponent on seeing a ladder match for the tag belts. We got that last year in Philly. I was there for that. Awesome show. Awesome show. I was more so hoping we got a U.S. title match, ladder match this year, but we didn't get that either. That said, very disappointed in WWE for booking the Street Profits on the Friday Night SmackDown, the WrestleMania SmackDown. It's lame. Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale they have on that show. They have that on there as well. I know there's a couple of other notable matches and segments they're going to have on there as well. I believe Cena will be showing up on that SmackDown. And again, just unfortunate. Leave it at that. LA Knight, Jacob Fatu. Now, this match should be great. A lot of people think Jacob Fatu is going to win his first singles gold in WWE. I, for one, again, this isn't a predictions episode. I, for one, do not think Jacob wins. I think Solo interferes, whether he meant to or not, and that will ruin things. And before I go through the final 2 matches of night 1 and then jump into night 2, guys, if you just got in here, welcome in. This next week, you're going to want to be locked in with me on this road to WrestleMania. We're just 8 days away. So do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, okay? Take a second, hit that subscribe button, and then smash that like button as well. Each and every one is very appreciated. Let me read the chat here. I was wondering why Lyra and Bailey won. Do they not care about that belt being defended at the biggest? Yeah, it's crazy, Wiccan, and we'll talk about that more on this, and maybe if I go on TikTok and a little bit later tonight. It's just very mind-boggling, to say the least. What they're doing with the women's mid-card in general, really, very confusing. What's up there, Nas? How we doing? Do you think Naomi and Jade will have a clean win, or do you think it ends by another way? Now, I'll say this, Wiccan. I don't know what to make of it yet. I mean, the way they on the trajectory of where they want to probably put or place Jade Cargill, in my eyes, they probably want to give Jade Cargill a definitive, clean victory at Mania for her to really get some momentum under her in singles competition. Now, I'll still be very surprised if they do that, but I'm leaning more towards that. As much as I love Naomi, I've expressed that time and time again. Or Naomi could cheat. Naomi could cheat to win. She is a heel. And then maybe Jade gets the win, a rematch win at Backlash. I'm not so sure what to make of it. But if I would think, I know a lot of people are hoping Naomi gets the win here, and I do too. But for all the stock and time they've invested in Jade this last year, I do think Jade gets a definitive victory. Now, I don't think it's going to be a squash. I don't think it's going to be a semi-squash. Now, the trick here is if Jade is going to win this match, it's got to be over relatively abruptly. That's the thing. It's like, can Jade withstand, I don't see her doing a 10, 15-minute match, Jade Cargill. Usually most of her matches, if you saw in AEW in singles, were maybe 3 minutes. And that's probably, more time than it should have been, right? It was probably less than that, most of her matches. So, on one hand, out of Jade's 50 plus matches or so in AEW, did any of her matches probably exceed the 6 to 8 minute mark, really? Um, so I'm curious to see what's going to happen here with Jade and Naomi. I'm here for it. But again, Wiccan, I don't know. I would assume WWE wants to push Jade with a clean victory over Naomi. But maybe Naomi sneaks in that heel victory and they have a rematch at Backlash. So we'll see there. Um, no Sting with Lex Luger. Yeah, what's up there, Sean? I did see that. They also showed who's going to induct each and every participant in the Hall of Fame, right? We got Shawn Michaels inducting Triple H. We have DDP inducting Lex Luger. Who else? They have natural disasters up there. They have The Undertaker inducting his wife, Michelle McCool. And they have CM Punk inducting the WrestleMania 13 match, the Immortal matches. Makes a lot of sense. You know, his guy was Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's got an immense amount of respect for Bret Hart, too. He loves the Hitman Bret Hart. A lot of his gear was always geared towards Bret and the Hart Foundation. Pun very much intended there. Even in AEW, did the same. So Punk inducting the Austin Bret match not only probably means a lot to him, but it makes a lot of sense. So good for them. That looks to be good. Typical favoritism. Triple H is more of a... Yeah, Nas, it's hard to discount that. You know, usually, like when somebody would, like yourself or anyone for that matter would mention something like that, as far as like, hey, you know, Triple H's favoritism, and it's all like, okay, well, maybe, or look at it this way, you know. But I get it. I get why you're saying that. It's a real head scratcher. There has been zero momentum for the Raw Tag Team division, for that World Tag Team Championship hunt, right? A lot of us said, including myself, obviously, the only true number one contender that anybody's really looking at or that has any kind of momentum going up against the War Raiders, whether it was on an episode of Raw or leading up to Mania in any sense, is the Creed brothers. The Creeds, realistically. You know, I like the New Day. I was hoping for an exciting time with this heel New Day, but let's be honest, they turned heel the first week of December. And here we are on our way to mid-April, and they've been very, very, very irrelevant. So, and now to place the New Day on WrestleMania just to get the War Raiders on. And look, I like the War Raiders. I do. But let's call it what it is. And I get it. This time last year, they were both sidelined. Well, Ivar, shortly after WrestleMania last year, was sidelined for a while. Eric was out for well over a year getting fusion surgery or whatnot, spinal fusion. And I get it. But at the same time, man, the Profits hadn't held those titles for almost 4.5 years, those tag titles. And that's a very good SmackDown tag team division. So it's very much so a head scratcher. Now, I think all of us would have had a problem with the Street Profits being the champions and whomever they were going to go up against not being on the card in general. I think a lot of us would have had an issue with that. But the simple fact that you put the Raw tag teams on this show, and New Day and War Raiders, and not them at all, that doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. At least it seems like with the women's mid-card, you know, okay, Lyra's on the card because she, again, lots of head-scratching booking, all right, on this card. And I'm not going to sit here and bicker and say that this isn't going to be a good Mania. There's a lot of matches that I think are going to be phenomenal. But at the very same time, you got the inaugural Intercontinental Champion on the women's side not defending her title at Mania. You got her in a tag team with Bayley, where they ran through the whole tag team division tonight in a gauntlet, starting from the one spot, knocking down 5 teams, babyface or heel. Got them going up against Liv and Raquel. Now, I look at it like this. It's a lose-lose to me in the sense of, all right, if you have Liv and Raquel retain, why did you have Bayley and Lyra go through all that to get to Mania, to run through your whole tag division, to not get the job done? And then I also look at it as if Bayley and Lyra go to Mania and win those titles off of Liv and Raquel, then what the hell was the point? What was the point of that, and how long does this little love fest last? Now, I do think the Bayley-Lyra tag duo is somewhat compelling. It is intriguing to a certain sense, but why just have her go and potentially collect more gold, not have her defend the gold that's already around her waist? It's a waste. Again, now does this turn into a situation where Bayley and Lyra win these tag titles, but maybe sooner than later, Liv takes that IC title off of Lyra? I'm not opposed to that. Maybe that's where they go in the months to come. But a lot of head-scratching booking, like Rey Mysterio, next up on night one, going up against El Grande Americano. Now, look, if it's not Chad Gable, then you fooled me. I'm assuming it's Chad Gable. Many think it isn't. Who knows? We're going to see what happens. I'm assuming Rey wins, unmasks him, at Mania for whomever it is, Chad Gable or not, and that's the end of this fiasco. Not sure what that's about. You have such limited time and limited, well, I don't want to say limited time, but you put such a limited amount of matches on these 2 nights, right? 6 or 7, whatnot. And much respect to Rey Mysterio. I love Rey Mysterio as much as the next person. But I'm looking at this card, and it's almost like, Triple H is rewarding certain people just for being around or doing well or selling big numbers for the company. Like throwing the New Day on this show, which I love them, but we could have did without them. Throwing Rey Mysterio, which I love Rey. Could have did without him on the WrestleMania card. I could have. Now, look, for those in attendance, maybe some of you are looking forward to the New Day match or the Rey Mysterio match more than anything because you always wanted to see them live. And for that, congrats. Outside of that, who really cares? Now, this is a match that I know most will care about, whether it's because you love one of these 3 individuals or the caveat of where is Paul Heyman going to go? Is he going to stand beside Roman as he stood behind him or beside him? Either way, just not in front of him. The last 5 years or so, the advocate, the wise man, will he be with Roman? Will he do Punk a favor and come out with Punk? And could he possibly side with Seth Rollins when all is said and done? Again, I'm going with Seth to probably win this match. All right, that's where I've been thinking the last couple of weeks, of what I've been thinking rather, and I think that's what's going to take place. So, let's see. Get into a couple comments here. Hopefully you guys still with me. What's up there, Will? Hey, guys, if you haven't already, by the way, I'm going to read your comments in a moment. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, okay? Smash that subscribe button. Hit that like button. And Will says, my first time coming to here, I'll tell you who is embarrassing. Is this whole Io Sky and Jade and Rhea thing. Io needs to be called back down about mental, horrible mic skills. What's up, Will? I mean, hey, respectfully, I disagree with the Io thing. My thing is this. Io's not a bad promo. She just has a language barrier. Now, look, you could call her a bad promo by default because of the language barrier. For that, I understand. I think Io is an amazing talent in ring. I think she's got an amazing look. I know she's got great theme music. She's got everything going for her except limited promo. And for that, I very much understand. You can't say she's not going to put on a great match because Io is one of the best professional wrestlers in women's wrestling today in general. I understand the frustrations with the mic bit. I do get that. That's the problem with, a lot of the international superstars. I do get that. But outside of that, I can't agree with the rest. Nas says, whatever happened to the Creeds? I don't know, man. They're on the side of a milk carton. I mean, they've been coming out a lot with Ivy Nile lately, but again, this would have been a great opportunity to showcase the Creeds. Instead, we get a heel New Day that, yeah, you'll hear some boos erupt because you're in a big stadium. So what? I mean, really. And even if the New Day takes the title off the War Raiders, does anybody care? Why not build new stars and the Creeds taking it off of them at Mania if that? A lot of head scratchers on this card, guys. Again, I'm not going to sit here and compare and contrast WrestleMania 40 and 41 just yet, last year and this year. Let's wait till the matches take place and the cards happen. We could digest everything that Monday, that Tuesday, that Wednesday, whatever. I'll give it a couple days. I do think this show overall, we will enjoy it. But a couple of these booking decisions as far as matches in general, not having the men's SmackDown tag division on this show, not having the IC or US title seemingly defended for the women on this show, it's pretty confusing. 9 long hours at WrestleMania next Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, Sean, I hear you, man. Bill, this will always be important in this show, in my opinion. I hear you, Nas. Like both Priest and Drew, but I could have done without this match on WrestleMania, more of a Raw SmackDown main event. What's up there, Aaron? Good to see you as always, man. I hear you. I'll be honest, and I get your point with Drew and Damian Priest. Sure, could it be on a random episode of Raw or SmackDown one week? I get that. At the same time, that's one of the least of my worries about not so much what is booked, it's more so about what isn't booked on this card. Now, I get it. You could easily say maybe you could have swapped out a certain match for instead of Priest and McIntyre. But my thing, I look at it like this. A lot of people want to see McIntyre in the main title scene right now, and I understand. But being that he's not, where else are you really going to pencil in McIntyre? You got to put McIntyre on Mania. And to me, Priest doesn't have to be on Mania. It would make sense because he cashed in Money in the Bank last year on Drew and won it. And that's why this feud makes a lot of sense. And see, I don't mind it. I really don't. So there is story there. We get a Sin City street fight for what it's worth. Not saying it's going to be match of the night or the weekend by any stretch. But I don't think it's really an issue. To me, it's not. Priest and Drew will be fun night 2. We'll get to that card in a little bit. We'll get to that in a little bit. Wicked says, my skills were important, 90% of the roster. We'll get sent back to NXT. Yeah, it's true. That is true there, Wicked. Welcome in, guys. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you for rocking with me the last 20-plus minutes as we make our way into night 2. Again, hit that subscribe, hit that like button as we forge forward. And I'll probably go on TikTok around 1 a.m. Eastern time for a little bit tonight. But let's jump into night 2 in a minute. We're just going to finish up with the main event of night 1. All right? Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins. Again, going to be a great match. Realistically, what more is there to say outside of the sense of who's going to win and who will Paul Heyman side with? I think when this match is said and done, we know where Heyman's loyalty lies at this moment in time in 2025. He's seen his day with Punk. He's seen his day with Reigns. He'll have his little reunion with Punk, maybe coming down to the ring with him. There's that promise he made to him well over a decade ago. What was it, 2012, 2013 or so? Main event of WrestleMania. And Seth Rollins. I think Seth Rollins, not only could Seth most likely, out of these 3 guys, Seth could use the win more than anybody. And I also see him, I don't know, I'm still going to stick to my plan there. I still see Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman joining up together. So we're going to jump into night 2, guys. We got the full card reveal of WrestleMania 41 tonight. Assuming we may not be getting Randy Orton now. Now that KO's out, it's a shame. We got 7 on night 1, 6 on night 2, I believe. So 13 matches. I believe last year was 14 matches, if I'm not mistaken. But again, guys, if you just got in here, hit that subscribe, smash the subscribe button, hit that thumbs up on the live as well. And again, looking forward to being with you guys, especially the next week into WrestleMania 41. Let's see here. Will says, if you on the mic, I'm not blaming language barriers. I'm just saying you have Jade and Rhea. You got to be able to hang in the back. Okay, right. What's up, Will? You mean Bianca? I know you keep saying Jade. Jade's going up against Naomi. But Bianca and Rhea. No, I get it. Look, for starters, Bianca and Rhea, there's a major size discrepancy. But that doesn't take away from the fact of how powerful and how great Io is in the ring. Again, if you remember War Games in NXT years ago, I mean, these 3 were on the same team. Rhea, Bianca, Io, they were a problem. Then you add in Toni Storm, the biggest thing in AEW women's wrestling today, and Candice LeRae. What a team that was. So, believe me, Io is no slouch. I get it. The mic is a little bit of a issue due to the language barrier, but Io makes up for it in a lot of different ways. Wiggins says, Seth telling Paul that now you owe me a favor and we're not curb stomping him. Just kiss. Yeah, we soon shall see. Absolutely, Wiccan. But we're going to jump into night 2, guys. We got 6 matches to discuss. Easter Sunday is night 2 of WrestleMania on the Sunday, April 20th. Again, guys, hit that subscribe button. Feel free to share the live as well. And I'll be with you guys for at least the next 15 minutes or so. I generally do not care what side Paul Heyman picks. Says, nah, it's all right. Yeah, I am intrigued by it, though. I got to say. I'm not at the edge of my seat about what's going to happen with Paul Heyman. But I'd be lying to you. I'd be absolutely lying to you if I said I was not interested in it, because I am. And I think Seth could absolutely use that nudge. That's that Paul Heyman rub, if you will, that I think is absolutely going to propel him to the next level and a newer side of Seth, which I think he desperately, spin all over the camera, my bad. A newer side of Seth, which I think he desperately needs. I think he desperately needs a little bit of a refresh. Maybe calm down a little bit on the kooky outfits. Still have that Seth Rollins self-expression. That's fine. But I think a little bit more of a serious-natured Seth that's not just whining and bickering and complaining. He confides in Heyman so that when he makes his way out to the ring, he can address people when needed. But, Paul Heyman has him a little more level-headed these days and not so frustrated about being outshined by Roman as the guy in the Shield over the years. Or, CM Punk's return a year and a half ago, not so worried about Punk, and especially having Heyman in his side, who was with a Punk in a Reigns all these years. Heyman's going to use this to the advantage of Seth, and Seth's going to say, wow, I'm getting all this insight from Paul, just as the MVP caliber guy he is for decades and decades in pro wrestling, but being that he managed Punk and Reigns for quite a long time. There is no next label. Seth is who he is. I don't know if I could, if we could get rid of the goofy sing-along. I'm here for it. No, Nas, I tend to disagree, man. There is a next for Seth Rollins. I don't think, it's easy to say he is who he is, but when you get a Paul Heyman in your corner, like I said, 9 times out of 10, or maybe 8, 8 times out of 10, it's going to work out great. And it's you could be around this industry for 20 plus years, but there's going to be a side of you that you didn't even knew existed when Paul Heyman gets a hold of you. And I said maybe 9 or 8 times out of 10 it works because, the brief time Heyman was with Claudio or Cesaro in 2014 and with Curtis Axel in 2013, that may have not really worked out all that well for either of them. And hell, I don't think that's necessarily Heyman's fault. I love Cesaro, but I don't know. His personality isn't really there. Let's call it what it is. He could speak 8 languages, but his personality is kind of great wrestler though. Axel, you could say the same too. Michael McGillicuddy. So, I'm interested to see what's going to happen. I'll definitely be watching. So let's jump into night 2. All right. Again, we're going to start off with that women's triple threat for the Women's World Championship. Champion Io Sky going up against the EST of WWE, Bianca Belair. Now, look, can Bianca go 5-0 at me? I know Nas wants to see it. Look, I'm not opposed to seeing it either. Although, would I love to see Bianca go 5-0 at Mania, and 4 of those 5 times, her leaving with the title? The only non-title match Bianca ever had at Mania was last year, right? When she was in that 6-woman tag match, that 3-on-3 with her, Jade, Naomi, the big 3, which 2 of the big 3, Jade and Naomi, are going up against each other night 1. They beat Damage Control. Kyrie, Asuka, and Dakota, I believe it was. Yeah, because Io went up against Bayley for the WWE Women's title. But that said, this is going to be a great match. At this point in time, I'm going to lean towards Io winning. I am going to still stick with Io retaining. I really am. Again, if there's any title change that is to happen, it needs to go to Bianca Belair. Putting the title back on Rhea makes 0 sense. It makes 0 sense. Other than just chalking up victories, much like they've done with Charlotte over the years. It's a pay-per-view. Charlotte's got to win again. As we saw in 2016, notably, her and Sasha played hot potato the summer of 2016. Charlotte would win at a pay-per-view, would drop on Monday Night Raw, where Sasha would get her win. So Sasha would win the Roman Reigns title on Raw, and Charlotte would always pick it back up again at a pay-per-view, if you remember. So, I don't know. Maybe they want to, ring up some collective title reigns for Rhea at that point, but I think that's a terrible idea. So, at least at this Mania, have Io retain, and if you're going to have anybody beat her, let it be Bianca Belair. Let it be Bianca Belair to get the job done. I think that would be fun to have her remain undefeated at Mania. Ain't going to be no Undertaker 21-0, I doubt, but, for Bianca to... I think the big thing is if Bianca goes 5-0 and wins the title this year, then there needs to be a collective effort to try to at least get Bianca to 10-0 at WrestleMania. You get to double digits, that's a big deal, man. You're halfway there. So if they so choose to go that route, by all means, I think that could be awesome. It won't happen, but I would love Io to win, only to get confronted by Asuka. Yeah, I know. It's an out there, but who knows, Wiccan? Who knows? Maybe we could get some curveball. That would be fun, though. That would be fun. To 2 members recently of Damage Control, right? Asuka's been out a while. Let's go to a match that has no title implications, but much like night 1, Naomi and Jade, night 2, this could be great as well. AJ Styles, Logan Paul. Logan Paul, you might not like him, but you got to put some respect on his name due to the fact that he's transitioned from celebrity to the wrestling ring better than pretty much anyone ever has. Him, Bad Bunny in recent years, 2 of the more interesting people that were not full-time superstars. So Logan Paul, AJ will be a lot of fun. Personally, obviously hoping that AJ wins. See how that goes. Now, there's a gauntlet match on SmackDown tonight. Again, most of you saw it. If you didn't, the match was cool, but they had Bayley and Lyra start this match out at 1, going up against Shayna and Zoe. And long story short, they ran through the whole group. They won all 5 matches to be the number 1 contenders to Liv and Raquel for night 2 of WrestleMania. I can't believe it. I figured if they were going to have Bayley and Lyra win, maybe they'd come in at 3 or 4, or where Piper and Alba came in at 5. The final, they weren't going to run the whole gambit as a first-time tag team. I couldn't believe it. They started off against Zoe, Shayna, took them down. Who else was it? Was it Maxine and Natalya? No, I think it was Kaden and Katana. Either way, it doesn't matter. Kaden, Katana took him down. Natalya, Maxine took him down. B-Fab Nation took him down. Then Piper, Alba, the Secret Service for Chelsea Green, Secret Service, took them down. So they won all 5. They're going up against Liv and Raquel next Sunday for the tag titles. I don't know what to make of it. We'll see what happens. I'll leave it at that. Fatal 4-Way for the Intercontinental Championship. Braun Breaker, Penta, Finn Balor, Dom Mysterio, as announced last week. Going to be a great match. I can't wait for it. I don't know. I personally am kind of hoping to see Braun retain, realistically. I know a lot of people want to see Dom Mysterio win the title. I'm not opposed to it either. I'm not even opposed to Penta winning. I like all these guys. You know, when they get out there and the people in the crowd are chanting both these guys or all these guys, that's kind of how I feel about this match, realistically. Excited for Braun Breaker going in as IC champion. Excited for Penta at his first Mania. He's been on fire quite literally since January. Finn Balor, you know, he's been looking up at the lights ever since God knows when. He's been losing everything. Hopefully he could get a win. And Dom Mysterio, that'd be a big thing if he could win his first singles gold at Mania. That'd be a big deal. You know, he was a North American champion briefly in NXT, two-time. So we'll see what happens here. And we got 2 matches remaining. Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, Sin City Street Fight dates back to last Mania, where Damian Priest cashed in on Drew with his senior Money in the Bank briefcase. Drew was champion for 5 minutes or so, distracted on his phone, tweeting. CM Punk took him out. Boom. Damian, he cashed in that purple briefcase, got the win. So look, a lot of people don't really care about this match. I think it's going to be good. Leave it at that. And then for the Undisputed WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes, John Cena. This will be great. Now, what's going to happen? Could we get that double turn that some people want to see, where Cena goes back to face already and Cody actually turns heel? Regardless who retains, I don't know. All that said, I'm assuming Cody remains face and Cena remains heel, at least for a little longer. I'm going to go with Cody getting the win. I really am. I'm going to go with Cody Rhodes getting the victory here. And how much longer will he hold the title? I don't know. Even if Cena does win the title for 17 eventually, is it the World Heavyweight title? Does it have to be Cody? That's what I wonder. Is this the match that Finn gets taken out of Judgment Day? Yeah, I can absolutely see that happening, Wiccan. I really could. Now, whether or not Dominic Mysterio wins, the title in the process remains to be seen, but I could absolutely see that. I could see that. So, that's pretty much, again, usually I cover SmackDown on Friday nights, top to bottom, and I thought SmackDown was pretty good tonight, but I more so wanted to harp on getting on here, talking about night 1, night 2 of WrestleMania. The match cards were announced tonight. We have all 13 matches. Maybe we'll get one more. Again, assuming Orton and KO was going to be match 14 to even things out at 7-7. Maybe they're still working on something. Who knows? When they started off SmackDown tonight with Orton and Nick Aldis, SmackDown GM, after Orton hit him with that RKO last week out of nowhere, man, I was really hoping for Nick Aldis and for Orton's sake that we were going to get that match at Mania. Doesn't seem to be the case, though. They then came out with Solo and Tama Tonga interrupting him shortly thereafter, which would then, lead to the attack, which will be the main event of the night. LA Knight came in for the save. We'd have LA Knight, Randy Orton versus Tama Tonga and Solo Sikoa. So we'll see what happens there. Of course, Tama Tonga ate the pin yet again in the main event. Once this match was booked at the start of the show, I said, okay, Orton and LA Knight win. And, Solo ain't taking the pin probably. Tama Tonga took the pin per usual. And now post-match, Jacob Fatu did come out and attack LA Knight. Again, their night 1 for the U.S. title at Mania, leading up to that craziness and chaos. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But again, this Mania card collectively, good, not great. I think that's fair to say. The reason I call it good, because there are some good matches throughout that I am looking for. Again, looking forward to, rather. I'm looking forward to Punk, Reigns, Seth. Mysterio, Americano can be fun. Knight, Jacob Fatu, it's cool. New Day, War Raiders. Would have rather seen the SmackDown tag team side of things on there. Jade and Naomi, storyline-wise, that's been fun. We'll see if the match delivers, but I think the storyline-wise, it's been fun. Gunther and Jay, a lot of emotion riding into this match. Tiffany, Charlotte, their emotions have gotten way too involved, which has made their build horrible. But I think Stratton and Charlotte could be a good match. Io, Bianca, Ripley should be fantastic. Night 2. Styles, Paul should be great. The women's tag, I'm not sure what to make of it. The IC 4-way should be good. Priest, McIntyre should be good. And Rhodes, Cena. So, again, I'm teetering upon saying great. Good, great. I'm going to still say it's going to be a good show. Now, we'll see what happens. As far as twists and turns, quite literally. Title changes, returns, debuts. Who knows? Who knows what's going to take place? The reason I'm probably not calling this card great in advance is I'm just disappointed that, the SmackDown, the WWE tag titles aren't on this show, and that the inaugural US and IC titles aren't on this show. I figured, why not? Why not have 16 matches? Why not do 8 and 8? To me, I think that would have been fantastic. And I'm not even saying pluck away any of these matches. There's 13 matches on this card. So if you put in that SmackDown tag team matchup, that's 14. You have the IC in the US for the women, just like you have the US title night 1, IC title night 2. Why not do that? Why not have Chelsea Green versus Zelina or whomever night 1? Lyra Valkyria and whomever night 2. Now, obviously, Lyra couldn't be on night 2. She'd be pulling double duty. Because for whatever reason, Triple H said, no. You know what, man? I'm not going to have Lyra defend her IC title at Mania. I'm going to have her team up with Bayley. Make them a very definitive, great tag team and let them run through the whole tag team division tonight. All 5 teams. Most of which were legitimate tag teams. And so that's that. So Lyra will not be defending her IC title, and she'll be looking to gain more gold. Very, very confusing situation. Is this Triple H pushing who he wants, or is TKO putting their wants ahead of his? To me, Wiccan, I fault TKO and a lot of them for their greediness, their money-hungry nature. Whether it's WWE live shows or Fanatics Fest and all these things. But I feel like TKO did not have as much say or to do with the pairings up of these matches per se. I feel like it's more of a Triple H and company issue. I just assuming, obviously, rather than blaming TKO for that. I blame TKO for their egregious prices. But I'm not going to blame them for the booking of the show in any regard. So again, why not do the 8 and 8 opposed to 7-6? And I get it. I'm a big proponent on less is more. I loved NXT takeovers when Triple H would do this, even with Shawn Michaels. These days, I know they're not takeovers anymore, but you have the 5-6 matches. Michaels and company, they've been doing a great job in NXT. And less is more. I agree. But you know what? You got 2 nights of Mania. Why not do 8 and 8? Throw the inaugural IC and US titles on here, and go ahead and do that. And what the heck was I saying? And the SmackDown, the men's tag team titles as well. So, again, guys, I'm not so sure. Nas says they're doing 7 and 7. So, I think that's what they did last year, Nas. Randy versus Solo. Did they officially make Randy and Solo official? If that's the case, which I assume that they were teasing, then they will do 7 and 7 like they did last year. So, assuming they're going to add that tonight too, if it has not already been added. Has the graphic been put out? Not official? Okay. Yeah, so maybe they'll do that. Not yet. Okay, yeah, I was just updating my browser here. I didn't think they did either. But yeah, if that's the route they so choose, then good for Solo. Sorry, guys, my allergies are bothering me all day. If that's the route they so choose, great. At least keep Randy on the card, and it gives Solo an opportunity. Again, I would have loved Nick Aldis to get an opportunity. How cool would that have been? Like he said in the ring tonight, 20-plus years it took him to get to WWE in any regard, and getting his debut match at Mania against Randy Orton, nonetheless, on what? Randy said this would be his 20th Mania? I think he said something like that, so that would have been cool. Adrian, what's up there? How we doing? I'm glad you made it in at the tail end here. Sorry, guys. Nose is acting out. But, again, Mania's going to be good. Again, and assuming we get Randy and Solo, that will round out night 2 at 7 matches, so we get 7 and 7. I don't think we're going to be disappointed in this card. There's just a couple of head-scratching situations here, like putting Bayley and Lyra up against Liv and Raquel, and putting the War Raiders in the New Day when you could have had the Profits and whomever else. Stuff like that kind of irked me, but Drew needs the win. Yeah, I'd say so. I'd give Drew the victory. At minimum, Nas, even just the callback to last Mania, right? With Damian Priest costing Drew the title. He held it for 5+ minutes, right? It was almost like Survivor Series, what was it, 2015? When Reigns beat Ambrose and won the vacant WWE title that Seth had to vacate due to knee injury. And Sheamus came out, cashed his money in the bank, briefcase, beat Reigns. And what was it, Sheamus 5:15 for a little bit? And that was almost, maybe Drew held the title for maybe 10-15 seconds more than that. But outside of that, man, yeah, Drew, I agree. Drew needs to win this. He was robbed of that. At least he won the title in front of a crowd at Mania at 40, previous to 4 years prior at 36 when he had to beat Brock Lesnar and basically in a closed circuit gymnasium. So what are you going to do? Yeah, all right, got the miss. Appreciate that, Adrian. Appreciate you, my friend. All right, guys, I'm going to hang here for about 4 or 5 more minutes. Again, if you haven't already, hit that like button. So thanks for spending your Friday night. For some of you, maybe Saturday morning already. Hit that like button, hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe as well. And again, I'm excited. You know, we are officially a week away from WrestleMania 41. Again, we're not always going to get what we want. A couple of things we all would have changed for sure. But that said, we're going to have a good weekend next weekend, I would say. I say we're in for a good one. So a lot of curiosity on how these things are going to turn out, man. A lot of curiosity. And we're sure to get some rematches for Mania, as we always do the month prior. May 10th, Backlash, St. Louis, right, in Randy Orton's backyard. So you know that's going to happen. Yeah, not the best bill, but still pumped. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. I'm still pumped about it nonetheless. I mean, look, we look at it at minimum like this. Regardless, you know, they sell the tickets months and months in advance, especially for those obviously that are going or bought the tickets right away. You don't know any of the matches that are going to be on the card. You just only assume, but you know it's WrestleMania. You don't pass it up. But as time draws nearer, the Rumble happens, Chamber happens, all these other things happen, and you hope to see all your favorites, or at least even if they're not your favorites, people that are put in position have the opportunity to showcase themselves at Mania. You know what I mean? So, like, I remember WrestleMania 38. One thing I remember that irked me that year going into Dallas that weekend was they didn't have the Intercontinental Championship on the show. Now imagine that. Imagine that. Now I'm sure it wasn't the first time they've done it. I get that. But and I've always been a big fan of the Workhorse title. But how do you not have the IC Championship on the show? Now Ricochet was the champion at the time. They may have had him defend it that Friday Night SmackDown, the WrestleMania SmackDown they call it, the night before. But it's like, bro, you got a 2-night Mania now. There was no excuse. You best believe the following 2 Manias, it was on the show. WrestleMania 39 in Hollywood, we had Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, and Gunther for that IC title in a triple threat. Last year at 40, obviously Gunther, the longest reigning IC champion of all time, dropped to Sami Zayn. So it's like, come on, stuff like that. It's, you know, stop just trying to throw people on the Friday Night SmackDown and saying, well, it's like Mania, you know, it's like Mania. You're in that city already. Whether it is Philadelphia this year, it is Vegas. You're there. We even put the WrestleMania logo above it. No, it's Friday Night SmackDown. It's Friday Night SmackDown. It's not WrestleMania. And WrestleMania is night 1, night 2, the 19th and 20th. It's not the 18th. So don't tell me WrestleMania is SmackDown to get everybody giddy. It's not. It's the SmackDown before WrestleMania. So when they tell us that we have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale, that being moved to Friday Night SmackDown in the last few years, so what? You know, I love Andre as much as the next person, but again, it's not, nobody is going into WrestleMania weekend saying, I cannot wait to see who's going to win that Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale. I am on the edge of my seat. I cannot wait. No, not one person. Again, you could be an Andre the Giant diehard. Nobody is saying that. Putting the Street Profits on next Friday's SmackDown against Motor City is a crime. And if you remember, they did the same thing. They did the same thing to the men's tag team side of things on SmackDown SummerSlam. They did the same thing. They had Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu dethrone DIY. Fact check me if you want. They had Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga dethrone DIY in Johnny Gargano's hometown of Cleveland, Ohio on Friday, August 2nd. Similar sentiment, Friday Night SmackDown before a big-time PLE. And that's what happened. And now I'm not saying the Profits are going to lose, but what I am saying is, how do you have them so close but yet so far? Why are the WWE Tag Team titles and champions at the time, even the challengers, getting shut out of such an important PLE when it's right there? I think Fatu is getting the push that people that Solo was going to get when he got called out. Yeah, I agree, Adrian. And it's nothing against Solo. Jacob is just that guy. I think Solo has the potential to be that guy in his own right down the line a couple years from now. But Jacob is the compact player who's ready. There's not much polish you got to put on that ride. So you just put him right out there. Put him right. I agree. Do you think Finn is buried? I don't think Finn is buried. I think he's on his way out of Judgment Day. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with them? I'm sure some of these WWE fans be putting over everything. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, absolutely. From the Bay Area, right there, Adrian. I love that. This is the first WrestleMania season fully built by Triple H. Is it? I thought last year was. Is this the first year where it was strictly him? Thought last year was, but maybe you're right on that. So, in any event, guys, I'm going to wrap up right before the 1 a.m. hour here on the East Coast. I'm going to probably hop on TikTok Live, go over there and have some fun with those crazies who I haven't seen in a few days as well. Some of you I hope to see over there as well. But if you haven't already, guys, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Please hit the like button. Smash that subscribe. And again, any last questions, comments, concerns, I'm out of here in a minute. Drop it in the chat if you got something for me. But thank you for being here with me the last hour, guys. Appreciate it. For this Triple H had a 4-year. Okay. Yeah, because I remember Vince initially stepped down July of 22. Early January, that next year made his way back. And I know he was back and forth a couple of times, but sure. Yeah. All right. Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. I know last year was weird because that was the first Mania I ever attended. The first WrestleMania not under the Vince McMahon regime, WrestleMania 40, obviously being bought by TKO, Endeavor, and such. So that was pretty weird, being at that Mania, my first Mania, knowing that it was also the first Mania that Vince and McMahon family were not fully in ownership and all that. So, all right, guys. Well, look, I'm probably going to head over to TikTok for a little bit in a few minutes or so. So I hope to see you guys over there. Again, thank you for joining me here. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button here to Turnbuckle Topics. And I hope to see you guys with me. I'll hop on here throughout the course of the week, I'm sure, as well as on TikTok Live as well, on this final week and lead up to WrestleMania 41 Las Vegas. All right, guys. Thank you as always. I will catch you soon. Take care.